Hi there, welcome to my channel. I'm Holly, and this channel is all about my exploration into the world of graphic novels, sci-fi, and fantasy. I am going to discover, hopefully, that this could be a passion of mine so that I can become a fully functioning member of my family, seeing as how all of them are totally immersed in this world. I'd love to be able to participate in a conversation where I know something about some of this. Alright, so I decided to start out by reading Batman the Killing Joke. Actually, this was a recommendation, a strong recommendation from my son that I begin with this. And I think he's hoping to kind of drag me into this world and thought I would really like something like this. And truth be told, just looking at the artwork, I'm already drawn in. I am somewhat of a horror fan, so just seeing that Joker face really already pulled me in. Alright, so I read it, and I freaking loved it. I cannot believe how I so thoroughly enjoyed this. I wanted, as soon as I finished, to talk to my husband and my son about it. But I can't until I finish this video because I don't want their thoughts and opinions to color my initial reaction. Also, I didn't look up anything online except one thing. And so my reaction, my thoughts and opinions are completely my own. I would like to share with you how very little I know or remember about this world. Obviously, I've had some exposure. It's practically all my family does. And so I think maybe I've just kind of zoned out. Well, anyway, I was opening up to begin reading, and I just wanted to remind myself, all right, Batman is Bruce, oh my gosh, you have got to be kidding me. I can't remember Batman's name. All right, I'm going to think of this. I am not going to look it up. And so then it came to me. Bruce Banner. Ah, no! I knew immediately. No, you idiot, that's the Hulk. And oh my gosh, how the heck do I know that? So yeah, I had to look up the name, and I knew I was going to feel so foolish as soon as I saw Bruce Wayne. Of course it's Bruce Wayne. And one other thing before I get into the book, I kind of thought that reading a graphic novel would be kind of like reading a historical romance. I'm sorry, don't hate me. I was wrong. I cannot believe that a graphic novel, Batman, would actually make me think of some very deep and complex ideas on human existence and human nature. And I actually had an emotional response to this story, which was completely unexpected, but a really happy discovery. All right, so we're going to get into it. I would first of all like to talk about the Joker's backstory, which I found very interesting and fascinating. I really liked getting to know who he was before he became what he became. And so we've discovered that he is married to Jeannie. She is 6 months pregnant, and their living situation is less than ideal. I find out he's a freaking failed comedian. I had no idea. That's why he's called the Joker. Duh. I guess all of you probably know that, or many of you do. I had no idea. So I thought, you know, that makes total sense now. And he's saying things to Jeannie like, you're married to a loser. What are we going to do? I just want enough money to get us into a better neighborhood. Wow. Is the Joker a sympathetic character? Am I going to wind up feeling sorry for him? You know, many of us maybe hadn't been in the same situation, but we can at least empathize with the helplessness he's feeling at this moment. In the drive to take care of your family is so intense. And I can see where in his anguish and his desperation that he might go to extreme measures to be able to take care of them. All right, and so later on in the story, we learn a little bit more. We find out he actually had a pretty good job as a lab assistant in a chemical plant, which he quits to pursue his dream of becoming a comedian. And I cannot help it, I had a real Pollyanna thought. Well, why couldn't he just go back to his job once he realized that his dream of being a comedian wasn't going to materialize? And I couldn't help but draw a comparison between the Joker and Walter White from Breaking Bad. You know, both men needed to acquire a lot of money in order to support their family. Both men decide to do that one big crime, get the money they needed, and then just stop, get out of it. And also, both men start out as ordinary men with ordinary jobs, and they both kind of morph into very despicable creatures who cost the lives of many or devastated and destroyed many others. And I do have to say, I had a very soft spot in my heart for Walter White. Oh, I also had a very soft spot in my heart for Alex DeLarge from A Clockwork Orange. So am I going to wind up having a soft spot in my heart for the Joker? So anyway, I loved his backstory. Thought it was fabulous. And now I'd like to move on to my favorite part of the story, which was at Commissioner Gordon's house. So we're introduced to his daughter Barbara, who makes an offhand comment about locating the missing Catwoman scrapbook. And this is my first graphic novel to read, so to me, everything has to be important, or could be important. Is that a clue? Is that a clue? Is that a clue? So when she makes the Catwoman comment, I'm thinking, okay, is this important? And there must be a connection that I don't know about yet. Maybe I'll find out later in the story. Of course, as you know, we don't find out later, but I am tucking that away in the back of my mind for now. So, Commissioner Gordon feels that there's somebody at the door. Barbara goes to the door, turns the knob, I turn the page, and oh my God, it's the Joker. It's not Colleen coming to pick her up for yoga class. It's the Joker with this huge freaking grin on his face and a you-know-what in his hand. And there's Barbara, frozen in shock and fear. Then bang! Barbara going backwards, landing and crashing into the glass coffee table right in front of her father. And I'm going, oh my gosh! I couldn't believe it. And the reason I was just in such shock at that moment is because I could not believe something so major happened so quickly in the story. And then I really had no idea that Barbara could be in any kind of danger. So it was like a thrilling shock for me to come upon this scene. So as my jaw is still on the floor, I continue reading. And then I just start laughing my butt off for maybe the next 5 or 6 minutes. In fact, I actually had to stop reading for a while. I hadn't laughed that long and hard in ages. I thought tears were about to roll down my face. The writing in this section was absolutely brilliant. You have poor Barbara in dire straits here. Her father freaking out, and then you've got the Joker delivering the most hilarious lines. I have to read some of them to you. Bear with me, I hope I don't start laughing again. Please don't worry. It's a psychological complaint common amongst ex-librarians. You see, she thinks she's a coffee table edition. I'm sorry. That is hilarious. I mean, she crashes through the glass table and she thinks she's a coffee table edition. Sorry. Next. Mind you, I can't say much for the volume's condition. I mean, there's a hole in the jacket and the spine appears to be damaged. And then when you find out later that Barbara, I'm sorry, it's terrible. When you find out that she's most likely paralyzed and might be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life, I mean, that just makes this even funnier. I thought the humor in this situation, coupled with the comic relief, was just fabulous. All right, so when I was finally able to get myself back under control, I thought, he is a comedian. You know, perhaps his audience didn't appreciate his brand of humor, but I thought it was hilarious. Now, at this point, I am completely hooked into the story. I really like the concise way of the story being moved forward without having to use very many words. I really like the use of the artwork to help tell the story and convey what is happening so that fewer words have to be used. You know, I think my son said something about you have X number of pages that the story has to be told in. So that really makes the artwork become very important in moving the story along and taking the reader in the direction that you want them to go. So far, in just these few pages, I've learned a lot of information. The action is pretty constant, and there's no unnecessary filler or fluff. I am now here for the ride. And speaking of being here for the ride, if you like this content, I would ask that you subscribe, hit the like button, and come back for more. All right, now back to the story. We are now at the scene of the crime. You know, the one that's going to change his life forever. This is the first time that Batman and Joker meet. It's also where the Joker becomes severely disfigured and becoming the man that we recognize as the Joker. He now has that Joker face. And I thought, you know what? He must blame Batman for everything. He's got to blame him for this turn of events. And it's because Batman is tied up in, you know, probably the very worst day of the Joker's life. He's lost his wife and child. He's been forced to commit a crime that he tried to back out of. And he's now disfigured beyond all recognition. His hatred for Batman has got to be very intense. And it's this part of the Joker, this side of him, that I feel really, really sorry for. So it made a lot of sense when the Joker delivers his soliloquy on the irrationality of the world and the pointlessness of human existence. And that the way the world works can really drive people stark raving mad. And that any other response to all of this is crazy. So the actual rational response is just to go ahead and be crazy. You know, the Joker just, what he was trying to do with Barbara Gordon and Commissioner Gordon, once he had him kidnapped and in the fun house at the carnival, he was trying to make a point. And the point was that all it takes is one bad day to drive somebody mad. And he says that that's the thing that separates him from the rest of the world, is just that one bad day. And I'm thinking, gosh, there's a little bit of truth to that. You know, I'm thinking, in a moment of complete despair and desperation, what could I be driven to do? And what set of circumstances would drive me there? And the Joker says something very interesting to Batman. He says, you know, you had one very bad day also, and you're crazy too. You just won't admit it because you want to pretend that the world actually makes sense. All right, so I have to admit, I don't know, or I can't recall a lot about Batman's backstory. And I actually want to discover that organically. I'm not going to look anything up. I have reached into the deep recesses of my memory. I'm going to tell you what I think it is. And I guess I'll discover later whether or not I'm right or wrong. All right. Batman's parents, weren't they done in? Were they at their house? Did Batman witness it? See, I'm thinking maybe he did. Did he know who did it? And did he ever avenge the death of his parents? I don't know if I'm anywhere near the actuality of it. And one other thing. Did Alfred raise him? Okay, I'll discover that at some point. All right, anyway, back to the story. We're almost there. You know, Commissioner Gordon wanted to make the point that ordinary people don't crack just because bad things happen to them. And he tells Batman, you know, go get him, go get the Joker, but bring him in by the book. And, you know, I think Batman really tried to do that. When he catches up to the Joker, he lets him know, hey, you failed. You were unable to drive Commissioner Gordon crazy. He's fine. And then Batman goes on to say, look, it doesn't have to be this way. I can help you rehabilitate. You don't have to be alone. And I'm thinking, wow, you know, he's doing his best. He's practically pleading, begging Joker just to kind of go ahead and just probably be in Arkham Asylum for the rest of his life. But he could have a good life there, maybe. Anyway, of course the Joker says, nah, I'm good. He tells one final joke. And then both Batman and the Joker begin laughing maniacally. And so I'm thinking, they're both crazy. Yes, terrible things happen to both of them. One of them devastates and destroys lives, and the other is a vigilante. And of course, then it made me start thinking about vigilantism, and is it ever justified? I am telling you, this graphic novel has made me just start thinking on so many different things. Should this be required reading at the high school level? I mean, I'm just thinking about the wonderful classroom discussions you could have just delving into the psychology of all of this. All right, so all of a sudden I see that Batman grabs the Joker and I'm, did he kill the Joker? And I very carefully studied those last panels, and I'm thinking, all right, they've left it an open question. So, you know, the reader can either think, okay, we'll never know, it's an open question, or Batman did kill the Joker, or Batman did not kill the Joker. Here's what I thought. At first, I walked away from it thinking, it's an open question. And then I started thinking about it, and I have to say, I come down on the side of he did, in fact, kill the Joker. And I think it's because, you know, he really did try to do things by the book. And when the Joker was like, no, it's all over for me, you know, I'm not going to change, essentially, I think Batman just saw that this cycle was just going to continue to happen over and over. Joker was going to continue wreaking havoc all over the place and taking the lives of God knows how many more people. And so Batman decided to take matters into his own hands and just end it all there. Now, I could be wrong about that. I would love to know what you think. Did the Joker kill? Maybe he did. Did Batman kill the Joker, or did he not? All right, guys, that's going to wrap this up. I have to tell you, I absolutely love this story. As I said, I don't think I could have had a better intro to the world of graphic novels than by using this story. Next time, I plan to do is Superman, Man of Steel. So I'm looking forward to continuing my journey on this. So please stay tuned. I'll be right back.